So, meine Damen und Herren, wir kommen jetzt zur Zukunft der Mobilität. Das gleichnamige Panel wird geführt von Director of Markets von der Österreich-Werbung, nämlich der Heidi Scharf. Bitte schön.
Good, Heidi Scharf. Warm welcome to you. So wonderful good afternoon, and it is nice to have you here, and thank you for paying attention. This is all about a very important topic, especially the internationalization, and the Austrian advertisement is responsible for the marketing. Is mobility a factor of competitiveness? So the future of mobility is really a heart matter for me, and I'm happy that I have really important guests here. And this topic that how the guests have changed, and what is how do the customers see it? How do people see this? And what about the tourist area? In Austria, what does it look like? Another aspect that we'd like to discuss is if mobility is not also important for collaborating benefits. The world of work, home office, etc. We see fantasies here. So I wish a warm welcome to one of our very interesting panel, and I want to wish a warm welcome to Sabine Böppel, who is responsible for the areas of transport, new rail business, regional transport, a lot of responsibility, communication strategy, and market development and new services. Respect. The microphone and the stage is yours. I haven't promised you anything. I've promised you quite a lot, and I will keep my promise. Here we have also Markus, who is who's in design, development, production, innovative technology for the aircraft transport. Well, warm welcome to you as well. Could you please sit underneath your little picture? My colleague, Norbert Werk, who is our market responsibility from Denmark, Copenhagen. A warm welcome to you. This is your seat. And René Schad, if you don't know him yet, he's the man in the designer suit. He's an expert in energy and mobility. He's the CEO of Obadum GmbH, one of the revolutionary platforms concerning transport in real time, and who offer car sharing, mobility, sharing cars, etc. And he has a lot of innovative ideas. I hope you all have a microphone. Very nice. So I'm going to start with an introductory question. So I'm not going to ask you what the OPP does, which is the transport in Austria. So I suppose you work a lot on what customer desires are. And if we look at the future, 5 to 10 years, what's going to happen in the mobility in the future? What is expecting us? So thank you for allowing me to be here. And yes, an important partner. Sorry, can we get the microphone, please? Because yes, so thank you. So thank you for letting me be here. And the tourism organization is a very important partner for us as a railway service. And if we have a long-term cooperation with this and the corona crisis, it's becoming more and more important because many people become more regional. But now we come out of the crisis and we see in the railway area that we are already above the 2019 figures, and we're happy to bring lots of people to Austria. To your question, according to trends, so we have aircraft taxis and all of this. So the most important, We have connected mobility outside of transport, rail transport. We have autonomous driving and climate friendliness, which is becoming more and more important. We have to differentiate here. What becomes interesting is what takes place where in the towns. We consider that the sharing economy is becoming stronger and stronger. So a car is no longer a status symbol. This is a really important trend. In the rural area, it's the first and light mile, and it's all about traffic and autonomous driving. So this has to be climate neutral. I think this is a trend that we're heading towards. So less CO2 emissions. These are what we're working on with our products. Great. You have, for the international travel area in your responsibility, we have long distance new rail business, and there also the night trains. So this is something that for our international connection is absolutely essential. Have there been any changes? What is the work in that area? Yes, so we are quite proud. We are the biggest night train offerer. And we are in the countries Germany, Switzerland, and the different destinations, Amsterdam, Brussels, Paris. And I think the night train is the product where we see this uproar after Corona. So if somebody's planning a night trip, they have to make sure they get a possibility, and they are completely full. So these trains are so full at Easter, 90% in these night trains. So here we have two essential elements. On the one hand, we have the fleet. Next year, we're going to have a new generation of night shifts on the market, very modern and a new driving feeling. A colleague said it feels like on an aeroplane. I don't know if I should be able to say that, but it's an absolutely new product. And we also have a partnership with the Swiss trains, the Deutsche Bahn, and the SNCF in France. So we're going to have many trains that are going to be gone through night shift, like Berlin, Paris, Zurich, Barcelona. We're really working on enlargement of this network. That sounds brilliant. So with the trends, you also mentioned that this network mobility is so important to you. Do you also have some corporations here where you have other aims that the trains are interconnected? Yes, we have very own products, especially in the ÖBB 360. It's the first and the last mile offer, which means that if we rent bike renting, car sharing at the train station, e-scooter and all the rest, they're all on offer. And for the tourism, the most important is the product ÖBB Connect. That is a shuttle service that can be booked. So if a tourist wants to go to Austria and books in the ÖBB app, then they can get their shuttle service directly. So we think about it a lot, and we keep widening this. Thank you very much for this information, for this entrance. So coming from this railway area to the flight. So the FAAC, what can we picture ourselves in here? Thank you very much also for the invitation. I'm happy here to discuss this really interesting topic, because I think mobility is becoming more and more of importance in the 21st century, and even more than before. So what do we do in our business? We come from the skiing industry, so we would say we're a startup of Fischer Skis. We started in the 1990s with fiber material, to make it simple, and now we are in different areas of flight technology in a 3-segment: drone, sky, and space. And this is what we're going to talk about now. I really don't know what you're talking about, I'm afraid. I have no idea, sorry, but yes, it sounds interesting. So today we have an innovation campus, And we say that travel type changes, flight charm is becoming increasingly important, and people like traveling again. So do you think the flight branch is going to be activated as it was before Corona? Yes. We are 85% of the before crisis level. The inner markets in the US, in Europe, in Asia, but also in the Near East are back. So what's still a problem is the international travel thing with Asia, but we also see that it's coming back. And until we come to the 100% pre-crisis level again, that's going to take another year or two, but we're quite optimistic, and rebound goes a lot faster than we thought before the crisis. And we have to say, if we look at the next 5 to 10 years of the flight industry, we're in one of the most interesting decades. On the one hand, we have the classical flight, sustainable flying technologies that are in this technology, but also how aircrafts think and work. We see an incredible change in companies that are really concentrated on technology with new value, but we also see that the aircrafts, how they're built, what do we mean by them? We all know the topic of A80, and that was the market, and not just the passengers, because that went up and is going up even more. It's 80% of the people of this planet have never set foot on an aircraft, and they're going to want to fly as well. And so until 2014, 40,000 new planes, 25,000 are there. So if we take everything together and produce it, then the dimensions, we can imagine them, what they mean. And flying is going to grow, but we do need more flexibility. More people want to fly. That doesn't mean bigger aircraft. It just means more smaller aircraft. And we see here that there is a trend of the big bodies that we know from the long distance flights that go from the large bodies to the narrow bodies. That's the smaller engines. And then what does a business class look like? The technological innovation that we see with changes. And here in the classical flight, we see a change. And then we've got new markets that I meant. So on the one hand, we have the question in our branch, how can we take the lower airspace and how can we use it in future for mobility in the logistics, but also for passenger transport. So then here in the entire branch, we work with automotives and many more with the question, how can we go about it? The kind of flight taxis, this is a topic which has great potential, where in the last 5 years, we have a market capitalization of $20 billion, and this comes into different speeds, and we don't even know how does this come about and to what speed it comes about, and we've got to ask ourselves this question. And this sounds in the space area. I mean, we all know SpaceX, Elon Musk, and flying into space. But what we see here is the change of the space and the economic room, and this is going to change with tourism. In 2027, we're going to have the first space model. At the moment, we can go up for 255 million euros, and Elon Musk managed to do that. Do you think in 10 years it's going to be 25,000 euros, and then in 20 years it's going to be 2,500 euros to go to the moon? And so sky and space are going to become closer. And if I think of Starship One from Elon Musk, then in half an hour you can fly from A to B on the entire planet. What that means for tourism, what that means for the markets, we cannot even imagine it. And it's an absolutely interesting discussion, but I think we really have to think about it. That's a lot of fantasy. We're looking forward to it. Of the future can come to me. I'd like to have a flight taxi. No, but you live in Copenhagen and the northern countries. are always kind of a role model when we talk about mobility. And whenever I travel business trip to you, I mean, we get everything we need. Could you please tell us about it? Yes, I can, and thank you for the invitation. The first thing that we notice in Copenhagen are the flights. There, the bicycles. There are 67,000 bicycles, and we only have 130,000 cars there. So we have 49% of people commuting by bicycle per day. There's 1.46 million kilometers which are traveled by bike in Copenhagen. So most of the commuters commute within 5 kilometers of range, and in Denmark it's that 74% of the Danes commute within 10 kilometers. So here we would like to have more commuters with the e-bikes that they can drive per e-bike. So the cargo bikes are also very strong. The delivery services, DHL, and they all have these cargo bikes. And we also see manual workers who go through town, and the painter who leaves his bucket or drives with his bucket on his bicycle. That is the image of the town. And before we used to do this, the e-scooters and the renting of e-scooters are getting lost in the image of the town. There were many places that offered them, and in the year 2020 we started this movement, and now we stopped. Why? Because we said the time wasn't ready. It was okay. It was a logistic channel to have these e-scooters, and then we have a lot of accidents. And judicially, these bikes have to drive on the same roads as everybody else. But then we've got this travel odds, which is one card that I'd like to show you. I've got it here in my pocket. It's a card that is valid in the whole of Denmark. Everybody can buy it. You buy it in the ATM, and you can just drive around with public services throughout Denmark with buses, trains, and boats. I brought it here just to show it to you. It's really simple, and you can use it all the time. It's kind of a climate ticket, isn't it? And I think that's brilliant. What does this cost in Denmark? It costs 10 euros, and you can use it. And then when you leave it, you just stamp it. It's really good. That's how it's built up. And then I have another point, that the aim of the town Copenhagen is that the town Copenhagen would like till 2025 become the most bicycle-friendliest town. And what do they do for this? They do these transport flows. They're going to optimize them so that the cyclists can click onto green. And then we've got travel plans. It's an app, and it gives the possibility, not just like in Google, to go from A to Z by bike, by bus, but to have the variable trip, to say I would like to go by bike with one set and I would like to walk the other part. And this is also a part of the strategy, and that we can also have the commuters and take them in a surrounding of more than 10 kilometers so that they can also use the public transport and buy bike. Then we have the infrastructural plan of the SB that is the same as the Austrian ÖBB, and we would like till 2030 have the whole network and electrify it in the whole of Denmark. Until 2030, we would like to have 1 million of these in the whole of Denmark. Topic of flexibility. Due to the pandemic, we had a product that the DSB gave out in a short term. That was a DSB, and it's commuter 20, and everyone has the possibility between 60 days to flexibly drive just to commute. This also came with the Home Office regulations, so that you have an office. Do I understand you correctly that in Denmark and Copenhagen for the inhabitants there, it's an absolute normality, and do you expect this also when you travel to different areas and you go on holiday? Do you expect this service that should be at everybody's disposition? No. I mean, we have it. We love the flexibility, and I think that in Austria we're very far and we have a great offer. And you also showed it with the climate ticket that we can go by bus, that we can go by bike. You've mentioned it. We can go by e-scooter, but it's mainly about the flexibility that we would like to have, or if it's by plane, that we can decide whether we would like to drive or fly or whatever, or go by train. And this is what they would expect. And the Danish people just love driving by car to Austria. It's part of this experience. And now we have the night trains from Stockholm to Hamburg and direction Austria, and that was really well seen. And next winter it's also going to be shown. Very nice. So you had an app that you mentioned. I think it was also very interesting for Mr. Schade. Mr. Schade, you are the CEO of the Umdum Service GmbH. It's a mobility platform. What can you imagine with this? We do sustainable solutions, but will you make it possible that with this sustainable mobility form, we can just have a nudging model when, for example, someone goes by bike, or if we have co-driving, then we can get points, or car sharing, and then it's not us, but it's our employers who can take influence upon the mobility and its behavior. The climate change is one of the biggest challenges that we have to face, and the most important will be that we change our way of being, and it's not easy to change our behavior. But with this nudging model, we can, with little advantage, have an influence on these ways. I think this topic also fits very well with home office, with changed working world. How can we do this for the employee staff benefits so that make the employer world more attractive? What does this look like? What do you think in the business model here? What's behind it to have this CO2, reduce the CO2 footprint here? So in the end, it's all about sustainability. The CO2 footprint is in the balance of the companies, or the CO2 footprint of the guests. And us, it's all about not just saying, dear staff members, use your bicycles, but also to say it's really important. And if you do it, then please, then you, on a daily basis, you can gain points, earn money. And due to the nudging at the end, we can also use the bicycles. Copenhagen is an excellent example. In Copenhagen, we've got this behavior that has grown within the past 10 years. We still have a lot of catching up to do, because in the shortest time, our commuting behavior had to change in Austria. We can come to work with 75-80% also short distance. There's a lot to do, and we offer one possibility to have a look slowly and step by step to see every kilometer and to take all the staff members. This is also part of the company culture, the values. Are there any examples from your point of view in Austria, tourism destinations that already do this in a positive way, or who already use their offer? Clearly, it's the big shareholders that get active here, because these shareholders want it. But we notice that tourism destinations are beginning to take on this topic. For example, in Tyrol, we have Innsbruck Tourism, which aims at Umudum, and all these staff members move by bike out of the simple reason, as a destination, we favor the guests' behavior and would like to influence it, and that's better if we already have the in-house and change the in-house, but also the destinations such as skiing areas and resorts. If you see the topic of CO2, you see a big part of the CO2 footprint are the prices of our guests. And we've got this skiing area in Kanogari Gletscher where people go there. And this is the advantage to save money, but it also has the advantage that the company or the skiing area can also prove that they're saving CO2. Do you think it's an argument for guests that if we have a communication and we say if you do it this or that way, and then the destination and then a report to the environment, do you think that's an argument that can bring our guests to Austria? Absolutely. Maybe it's not that the guests from Denmark really expect the same if they go somewhere, but the topic of sustainability plays a big role. And as a company in the tourist branch, we cannot afford it. We cannot use this topic. And this night I slept in the hotel, and then it said if I still need the towel, not to place it on the floor. We've known this for the past 10 years, but there is a reason why we have this to the guests, and it's also a resource saving that we're saving. And climate change, it's just that, it's to save resources. But now the scope is different. It also goes beyond the business, and it's the guest mobility. And if we as a company manage to save resources, it also has an economic advantage for me, but it's also an image thing. And there are more and more guests that expect this from us and me. Thank you. So I'm going to give back the word to Mr. De Rotti. What is it like with your business culture and sustainability? What's there with your values? I mean, we have sustainability in our DNA. I mean, it just sounds a bit contradictory or paradox if we talk about airspace, but we have very light material, so that uses a lot less energy, and we like to work with energy that does this. And we come into a new phase where this topic is not just a reason for using energy, but also if we look at the costs, and then I mean, we have these prices right at the top. I mean, the fuel prices, and sustainability is seen from two perspectives. What do I do as a business? What do I do with my product? So with the product, we don't even have to discuss it. There are limitations in physics with which we're still working upon, and then we would really have the desire that we could fly with electricity, but it doesn't work. And the big aircraft, it's possible, but the large aircrafts we still need, we cannot, because it's not economic and it's not representative. And there, the 9 areas that I discussed with the airspaces and this topic. So next to the question of the product, I have the question, what access do we have as a company? And 15 years ago in this dimension as today, we've always discussed this in this area. We've invested into it also from a very big motivation. We are lucky that in Austria we create energy, and we've adjusted geothermy, and we've invested into photovoltaic, and we've become very fast autark to manage our product. And this is one thing. And the other question is, how can we make it with this thought via incentives? How can we get this, and how can we integrate this in the width of the whole system? And I think it's difficult if the reports and the consumer behavior, and it's very important in the culture of our society, which is integrated. I'm warning to see this topic as a hype. It's often seen as a hype. It's often more than a hype, and it's all about sustainability that has to be implemented. And what do we need for that? we need an honest debate. And what we had before in the public, it's not a topic anymore. It's we hardly have a topic where we have so many facts that have been reported. This is a good example. No one knows what kind of KPIs we have. And what to consider, not to consider. We're very fast in the greenwashing area, and I would desire that with all this debate of sustainability, that we have a factual debate, and then we have sustainability in our DNA of our society. Can I ask you a very strange question, but it just goes back to the working life? Do you have problems finding staff members? Well, in the past 3 months, we've recruited more than 150 staff members for the entire tourism and the whole events branch. Now we have a strong rebound. We're looking for 200 more candidates that we can recruit, but we have to differentiate on the one hand from the aerospace engineer, the international top training, the white collar, it's very easy, and which are very important. And then we have in the top of Austria, we have a lot of destinations on a worldwide basis, and also the element of production, where we have the classical flights, where all of us, it was quite difficult, I think, to have lack of experts. We have everywhere. We have lack of experts in every domain, and all of this is one factor. It's immobility. So you can only recruit in the area 50 kilometers, and if you are in the areas which is growing incredibly in all sorts of areas, then in reality we can only compete from others because the pool is empty. And it's true. I mean, we have so many, but it's still possible. Great, thank you. But the colleagues are still going by car, aren't they? Well, we would desire them. We would really be happy if they could go by train, and if we had direct access by train. And it's not simple to have every access and all the train routes, but maybe in 5 to 10 years' time, if we still allowed to fly, that we have fly to taxis. That's nice. Do you have, Frau Stock, do you have seen some changes due to Corona, home office, lockdown, people at home? Have there been any changes here? Have you noticed this? Yes, we notice it, and we notice it. We still notice it. It's very interesting. In the public transport, which trend is which, but we see there is still home office, not every day of the week, but some still keep up home office 1 or 2 days per week, and we've got less commuters, but at the same time we've got this very high petrol prices and also the parking ticket in Vienna, which makes people prefer to use the train, but still it's less in public transport for commuting to work. But long distance transport in the past in the whole month here, we are beyond 2019, and if our prognostics are right, then this year, if we have more than 1 million of guests compared to 2019, that would be great, but it's still very differentiated and it's not as clear yet. I'm afraid the time is too short. I have to finish again, and I have to conclude. And from already told to finish here, can I please listen to your end statement? If you go away, and if you could desire anything from the event management, and you think what will be in 10 years' time, what would you recommend the tourism branch here in Austria? I think the tourism location in Austria is a predestinated location that should be environmentally friendly, and also to get here, we've got great cooperations with the Austrian advertisement, but obviously also with the tourist organization of the various federal states. We've got wonderful products with Tyrol, for example, with the night jet into the snow, a combi product with train and everything that you can do to go skiing. I think these are things that we can build upon and to build upon together, to have the to stay climate friendly and to have the holiday climate friendly, and to be here the predecessor for environmentally friendly holidays. Mr. Reuter, what would you see and wish for the future? To get new markets. I think we're in the time of innovation, disruption of startups and great ideas. I think that if we bring quite a lot of courage, and Austria is a good test market, then we can position ourselves internationally. And there we have to see that I said 80% of the people have not flown yet, and there are new markets that are coming about. And the tourism from Germany in future will also have an important role, but there are a bit more than in mid of Europe. But I would be very happy if we were together with you. We could maybe have a trial to how innovation in tourism and mobility could look like in the future. And talking about the mobility, I would wish that we stop competing against each other. I think that, we have a bicycle, we have planes, and everybody has the right to exist. And the end consumer is not interested in the competitiveness. It's like, how can I be faster? How can I be sustainable? And how all of these means and methods of public transport fit together. Thank you very much. Norbert, flight, taxi, night train, what would you like? I wish that the way that we've decided to go will have also a future. We were very far already in Austria. We've got a great offer. The climate ticket was mentioned. And maybe we can talk about micro-mobility as well, because from the train stations, we go back to these land regions, and we've got a lot of potential here in Austria. We have very good products here in the mobility, and we definitely are going the right direction, and I'm extremely happy this also for the future. I think we should be prouder and get this information prouder. I'm coming to the last statement. Tourist location, Austria. What if you had a wish for you concerning mobility? Always nice pictures of nice landscapes that we communicate to the outer world, and this is the case. Austria is a beautiful country, and in the area of tourist mobility, we have, when it comes to going and going back, we have a very great offer. I can go there by train, and from the train station and brought to the hotel, where I can really say that we need a better potential is mobility on site, and if people cannot be mobile on site, they're not going to come without their individual car. And coming by car brings various problems. So whether it's the iceberg which is melting, or whether it's the traffic jam that in the end gets to your nerves, I recommend trying out things. All of this at the end should be a network. Guests expect these solutions for the arrival, and it should be a service in combination with other packages. And here we have many possibilities, and you should just try them out to go new ways. Combinations, try out combinations, and just do. I think here we don't need to do a lot. The last little problem to be able to surpass this. And I say thank you very, very much. Thank you much for this really interesting information, for these interesting perspectives, and also for this offer that we have in this innovation, and that maybe we can all sit together again and think about it and comment that the future of mobility is safe, and that our guests are happy and successful. In Austria, that was the future of mobility. Thank you much for the panel, and a big applause. Thank you.
Bitte sehr.